Shabbat Shalom. I want to acknowledge that I might not possess the right words or wisdom on a Shabbat like this. As we gather on this Shabbat, our hearts heavy, burdened by a profound sense of fear and anger and pain that reverberated through our tightly knit Jewish community. We are confronted with a reality that is both heartbreaking and unfathomable. For many of us, this tragedy hits close to home as we share deep and enduring connections with Israel. It was a brutal terrorist assault targeting the defenseless with the sole intent to inflict pain and trauma and death. And the haunting images will linger in our minds. This week, my dear friend, Rabbi Wendy Geffen, who I study with on a weekly basis, but we couldn't find it in our hearts to study this week, but she framed it for me, I think, just really well. She said that she was in shock, in sadness, in fear. And I explained that I felt myself consumed by anger, rage even, and despair. Anger and despair at what has happened. How could this have even happened? Rage towards the barbarians who perpetrated these heinous acts and continue to do so. Despair for every victim, every loved one, every community member of every victim, for every soul affected physically, emotionally, or spiritually by proximity or distance or proximity of heart. Despair for what is now happening and will continue to happen, for every innocent soul in Eretz Israel and every innocent soul in Gaza who will suffer as a result of Hamas and their co-conspirators' obsession with hatred, with cruelty, and with death. And I'm enraged by those who find justification for this, who seek to create some sort of moral equivalence, who fail to denounce the particular evil directed at Israel and the Jewish people. This should not be difficult, but apparently for some it is. In the face of such darkness, we cannot look away, nor can we ignore the unspeakable horror that has befallen Israel, with which we share an enduring bond. A bond that has been shaped by our community through temple trips and deep relationships and Shabbat celebrations in the heart of Jerusalem. A bond that has been carried by the melodies that we sing, even the joy of sharing Harry Potter in Hebrew. Israel has been a sanctuary for Jews from around the world, a nation entrusted with the weighty responsibility of using its power justly, striving to ensure safety and security while embodying our highest Jewish values. This is the Israel that we love. And this is the Israel that we challenge sometimes. And this is the Israel that we love again. A complex and ever-evolving relationship. There will be a time to discuss the how, and there will be a time to delve into political complexities that are at play. But that time is not today. And that is not the message I believe that I can deliver, or the message that I think we need to hear at this moment. So instead, I offer 3 reflections. Reflection number 1, let there be light. In the depths of despair and suffering, humanity has uttered a timeless plea. How long, O God, how long? These words, echoing through the annals of history during other times of despair, encapsulate the enduring human struggle to make sense of a world that often feels shrouded in darkness. And it is within the pages of Genesis, the Torah portion for this week, with its profound narrative of creation, that we find insights in the eternal interplay of light and dark. In the very few verses, we learn that our world was established on a foundation of tohu vavohu, a howling and empty void. As my colleague and friend Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove teaches, the biblical story of creation is meant not merely to describe God's hand in fashioning a majestic universe, but to draw attention to God's ongoing efforts to keep the levee from breaking, to tame the floodwaters of chaos that are ever seeking to burst forth. It is a story about disorder and anarchy and persistence of evil, a world that can be upended in any place, at any instant. These words resonate with the enduring human struggle to make sense of chaos and despair, asking, how could this have happened? Much like the chaos depicted in the primordial state of the world, we encounter moments in our lives when despair seems unrelenting. And that was true for me this week, when we find ourselves unable to discern a way forward. The words, how long, echo in our hearts as we yearn for relief from the weight of our suffering. And in these moments, each passing hour feels like an eternity. I know it did for me on Saturday. Yet even in the midst of our profound darkness, Genesis presents a transformative moment, a divine decree that ushers in light with a simple command, Yehi Or. Let there be light. God declares and light emerges to dispel the suffocating darkness. And this act of creation reminds us that even in the deepest recesses of despair, we harbor an innate longing for light. We yearn for the light of hope to illuminate our path, the light of strength to fortify our spirits, and the light of compassion to ease our burdens. And thankfully, the Parsha also provides us an answer. It is one revealed in God's own response to the chaos. As you may know, each day of creation ends with the same refrain, Vayhi erev, vayhi boker, there was evening and there was morning, which is somewhat counterintuitive as our normal lives and the rhythm that we typically have is the other way around. Our day begins in the morning and then ends in the evening, but that's not the Jewish way, of course. My friend and colleague, Rabbi Jeffrey Middleman, of a wonderful creative organization called Sinai and Synapses, he teaches that the word erev, evening, is also used to mean chaos. And the word boker, morning, may evoke words that related to split or investigate or putting things in order. With a repetition of the words vayhi erev, vayhi boker, there was evening and there was morning, a first day. Vayhi erev, vayhi boker, there was evening and morning, a second day. Vayhi erev, vayhi boker, there was evening and morning, a third day. The story rhythmically evokes an idea of chaos and then order. And at the end of each day of creation, but the universe's natural tendency is, of course, not to go from chaos to order, but from order to chaos. Scientists know that from the second law of thermodynamics, and we can see it in our own lives. And the only way to combat that tendency is to invest time and overcome it. And I think this perspective highlights the rhythm of chaos and order in the creation story, echoing the challenges and triumphs that we encounter in our lives. The story of Genesis not only acknowledges chaos, but also emphasizes the importance of responding with order through wisdom, with compassion, and with light. Just as God did in creating the universe, it is our Jewish call, amidst the chaos that we face, to imitate God by bringing order through light. And our experience is no different. We need not conceal or suppress the challenge emotions that we feel and that we harbor this week, because they're genuine and they constitute a part of the tohu vavohu, the chaos and the void. And to address them, we must first acknowledge their presence. However, once each of us possesses the agency to determine the extent to which we allow that chaos to influence us, to shape our thoughts and our actions. And it is crucial to understand that in the absence of order, when there is chaos within the tohu vavohu, the boundless chaotic abyss, losing sight of our moral values and our better, higher selves equates to surrendering ourselves to the very chaos that we disdain. While we may not control the events unfolding in Israel or our world, we unquestionably retain control over ourselves. And as we navigate the ever-changing interplay of darkness and light in our lives, we are reminded of our responsibility to respond with wisdom, with compassion, with light. It is through this response that we can work to dispel the darkness and bring about hope and renewal. Reflection number 2, Jewish pride. In the sacred teachings of Rabbi Hillel, we find a timeless truth. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And these words resonate with profound significance in the aftermath of the recent terror attacks. We want to defend and protect everything that we have. If the world has reminded us of anything this week, it is that the strongest Jewish response to those who would seek to erase us and to chaos and bring chaos and hate and rage in the world is to gather together, to be together, like we're doing tonight. Not just in defiance of evil, of those who worship darkness and death, but in the affirmation of our higher purpose, providing comfort to one another by being in community and our pursuit of light and life, especially in the face of hate, especially in the face of anger and despair. You being here tonight, in person and online, is the light. The 3 different young adults called to the Torah on Shabbat tomorrow for their bar and bat mitzvah, that is the light. The couple that will marry this weekend will be the light. Every act of giving tzedakah at religious school for Israel, every prayer spoken will be the light. Every choice of compassion and hope in place of rage and despair will be the light. When we smile at our fellow human being, when we show kindness to our neighbor, show love to the stranger, each and every act of letting there be light defies the darkness. And in this way, we uphold the highest purpose in our deepest Jewish hearts and souls. We will not let meaningless win. We will not let fear and hate have the last word, because hope and goodness, blessing and life have that spot reserved in our hearts. In the face of adversity, we must rise as a community that embodies Jewish pride and actively engages in Jewish life. Our response to these acts of terror hinges on our unwavering commitment to our heritage and values, to our rituals and our traditions. Let us not merely acknowledge being Jewish, let us celebrate it with pride. This celebration is more than a symbolic gesture of resistance. It is a powerful symbol of light and unity, both within our community and in the broader world. This week, an Israeli member of our community who saw his military unit take huge losses flew to New York and got on a plane to Israel and is volunteering with his unit. The desire to help for many of us who aren't Israeli outstrips the avenues with which to do so. And we can donate, and we can wear blue and white, and we can check in on our Israeli family and friends repeatedly. And we can do something more. We can realize that being Jewish matters, doing Jewish matters, having Jewish pride, being in community matters, singing the Shema matters, inviting people into our community and making sure that they have a home here matters. Our destiny as Jews cannot be determined by external forces or fear. It resides within each of us. It resides in the resilience that we see of hundreds of thousands of Israelis standing up to go to the front line, an entire nation behind them, to defend the Jewish state. And if they can do it, so can we. And that is how we dispel the darkness. Reflection 3. We have to emerge from the cave. In one of the most well-known Elijah stories, the wicked Queen Jezebel, enraged that Elijah challenges her authority, so she threatens to kill Elijah. And Elijah flees to the south to Mount Horeb, and he hides in a cave. He's alone and he's scared. And God instructs Elijah to come out of the cave and stand atop the mountain. And then we read that there was a great and mighty wind, splitting mountains and shattering rocks. But Adonai was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but Adonai was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, fire, but Adonai was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice. The courage it took to step out of the cave is a decisive moment in the story. Elijah could have stayed confined within the cave cocoon that he knew, but instead he stepped out to face the violent wind, the shattering earthquake, the consuming fire, and because he did, he heard the still, small voice that called to his soul. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. In times like this, just like Elijah, we all have a tendency to draw back into the cave of comfort, to place blinders on our eyes, and to disengage from the broader world. We want the safety and the security. We are all drawn into the security of what we know, but during times of challenge and controversy, the piercing call to open our hearts and souls to the burning realities of our world, to the fires and the earthquakes and the winds, is going to become readily apparent. In the days ahead, we are going to see things that are not going to be comfortable. We know that we need Israel to have safety and security. And at the same time, there's going to be severe moral challenges ahead. And the potential to lose sight of our morals and our highest selves is uncomfortably within reach, too. Why? Because caves tend to echo. And out of anger, people will seek vengeance. And there's going to be calls to come out of our cave and come face to face, not only with ourselves, but with a world that's on fire and strong winds and an earthquake. And we're going to have to face that world with the values and morals that we have and the lines that we will or will not cross. But it's going to be really hard because safety first. And because within the cave, we find the necessary safety and security and comfort. I don't have the answers here, but I know that there are going to be moral lines. And in the aim of securing our morals, we can inadvertently run the risk of losing our morals. So what do we do? Embrace the wisdom of Rabbi Hillel, who urged us not only to be for ourselves, we must actively bridge divides and engage with the broader world, especially at times like this. This cannot be symbolism. It needs to be substantive. In truth, the safety of our caves cannot shield us from the challenges that we are going to face. If anything, the moral certainties will become slippery slopes. The balance is complex, and the balance will be difficult, and I'm not sure when exactly we're going to be ready to talk about it, but I'm confident that that time is near. And that is why, with unwavering confidence, with unwavering purpose and unity, we must confront the challenges head on. Because as we stand at the beginning of the year, a year radically altered, and more radically altered than we could have ever thought a couple of weeks ago, we ask Rabbi Hillel's second question: if I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? In this moment of reflection on the Shabbat of new realities, we stand at the threshold where we hope that light emerges from darkness, where order emerges from chaos, We are bound by our shared resilience and unwavering Jewish pride. Through our determination and will, we can illuminate the path forward. Together we will traverse the intricate dance of light and dark, akin to the moon's gentle changes in the night sky. Our hearts, like the moon, hold faith that even in the profoundest of nights, that there will be a dawn of light that will grace our people and will grace our souls. Together, we can forge a future adorned with hope for our community, for the Jewish state, and for all of humanity. Shabbat Shalom.